Let's talk about the big race today. This is the Hennessy Gold Cup, a fascinating contest. We'll split and divide opinion on the outcome, and picking the winner is going to be difficult, but we'll try to summarise it in a little bit more detail. Sandy, which one do you want to talk about?
There's two I'd like to talk about, and they've actually got form that is actually together. I'd like to start with number 19 on the card, Mary King. He ran at Ascot. He ran at, was it Ascot? No, was it Newbury? Sorry, no, sorry.
Well, we might have to move you on if
yeah, no, I've got confused. He ran at Ascot last time, and where he was beaten by Hobble and Des Obeaux. Also, he refaces today. He finished second that day, and I think that was a perfect sort of opening for the start of the season. He's run at Newbury before. That was last December over a shorter trip, finishing a narrow second to Rolling Aces of Paul Nicholls. One thing about this horse, I think he's very versatile on ground going. It doesn't seem to bother him if it's on good or heavy going. He jumps well, and I think he carries a really nice weight today. He's been raised £3 for that second at Ascot, but I still think it's perfectly weighted. A 6-year-old of 10 stone 8 in a Hennessy. That's what I sort of be looking for.
I'm going to come back to your second one in a minute. Adam?
Well, like I said, it's pretty. I wouldn't say there's a star quality horse in the Hennessy this year, but there's a lot of horses with chances. You know, obviously Lord Windermere, looking at it, you know, Bob Swift won the RSA last year before coming on to win the Hennessy, so obviously you've got to look at him. But the thing which puts me off is I think the last Irish winner of the Hennessy was in 1985. That was before I was born, so it's a hell of a long time ago, obviously.
Before the whole panel was born, I guess.
Well, most probably. The other two near the head of the market, just to mention them, obviously Invictus and Our Father, I think are absolutely crazy prices. You know, obviously Our Father is best to catch him fresh, and then he looks a world beater, and then you don't see him again. He's beaten about 45 lengths in a normal race. Invictus, everyone's talking about that race at Ascot in the Reynolds Down when he beat Bobsworth and Silviniaco Conti. Now, although it looks a good piece of form on the bare looks of it, the thing you've got to remember is Bobsworth after that was found to have a breathing problem, and he had a breathing operation and obviously came out and won the RSA. Silviniaco Conti was put away because he was too weak and came out and won at Aintree, and Alfie Spinner, which split the two of them, has just shown that he's just a slogger in mud. So on the face of it, although the form looks very good, I think it's best to ignore it. And just another thing to add about that piece of form is both Bobsworth and Silviniaco Conti have been proved that they're best going left-handed also.
OK, well, if Declan can have a word in edgeways...
Yeah, go on.
You've taken all his notes away. Any of you, Declan?
Well, look, it's a really tough race this year. I'm looking to take on the ones at the head of the market, and that includes the Irish horse Lord Windermere, Rocky Creek. I all think they have questions to answer. The two I like in the field are Hadrian's Approach, and I'm with Sandy on Mary King, to be honest. Hadrian's Approach is the RSA form. In terms of stats, he's good. Feltham runners have a good record in this race. The RSA, I know he finished, I think it was 7 3/4 lengths behind.
What about you that Geraghty had a choice of the Henderson horses and didn't go for Hadrian's Approach?
Yeah, look, you have to factor that in, but if I'm being honest, I'm actually happier Nico de Boinville rides. He can claim £5 off him. Nico does all his schooling and work with him at home, so he knows the horse very well. He is a horse who struggled with his jumping in the past, but he has a serious engine. To finish 7.5 lengths behind Lord Windermere in the RSA, given how badly he jumped, showed me this horse has an engine. If he gets his jumping together, I think he's £13 better off with the claim. He can go close, and he offers far more value.
Hey, Sandy?
Yeah, Hadrian's Approach, he has got an engine, but I just with his jumping, you just can't clout fences around Newbury and get away with it and win a Hennessy. You've got to jump perfect to win this race.
Who's going to jump perfect?
Well, I've already.
Who is going to jump perfect?
I'm actually with the other Henderson horse that Geraghty has chosen to ride. Only a 6-year-old.
Well done, Sandy. Well done. Well done. We're going for a big price one here. That's one I like.
It ties in with Mary King.
Yeah.
So this form I feel could be very strong. He was obviously third in that Ascot race behind Hobble and Des Obeaux. Last season he obviously won the Topham at Aintree off a mark of 132. He's up to a mark of 147 now. But he's only a 6-year-old. It's not as if he's like a 10-year-old, and he could still be very progressive. And I think it is massive that Barry Geraghty has chosen to ride this horse.
Any other thoughts about the race?
The one thing I'd be worried about Triola Delane's stamina over this trip, the extended 2.5. I'm pretty sure Mary King will confirm that form with Triola. Whether he wins the race now or not, I'm not sure, but I'd have stamina doubts myself about the Henderson horse that Geraghty rides.
And Mullins brings 2 over.
Mullins brings 2 over. Prince of Beauchesne, 10-year-old now. you know, he's not as progressive as these. I think he offers poor value, and I think you have to take him on at the price.
And the ground would be an issue, I would presume.
He's a 10-year-old as well. You've got to take that into account. I know Tidal Bay was second in it last year, but Tidal Bay's a horse that's been keeping a bit for himself. So I think it's a little bit... I don't want to be ageist and, you know, put John McCrew cut the wrong way. Imperial Command is a 12-year-old as well, but a little bit too old for me.
I'd like to give a mention to a horse called Opening Batsman. He's really disappointed me on his reappearance run. I see that he's obviously tongue-tied and cheek pieces. You know, he was so progressive last season, it just seems to have hit a brick wall. Maybe he is what he is at the moment, off the mark of 146, and he's not going to improve. But he's a big price if he can sort of find any more progression that he had last season.
Is there anything else worth a mention?
I think the Mullins horse, Terminal, is a big price. He was going quite well in the RSA last year when he made an absolute horrific blunder. I think 4 out at the top of the hill. Couldn't really get back into the race then. Did stay on. I think he was beaten about 10 lengths in the end and has a pull in the weights with Lord Windermere. If he gets his jumping together, he has had problems with his jumping. There's another one that you'd be worried about, but you know, he's 33 to 1 there. The guys can maybe give us an update on the price. He's probably bigger on the exchanges. If Mullins has worked his magic with him over the summer and he gets his jumping right, I think he will love this trip as well.
OK, so what we're going to go for, Sandy?
Sorry, the problem is with Tom Scudamore, he might go for it. He might kick for home a mile out.
I think he's a hold-up horse, so we're lucky on this one,
Your selection,
my selection would be Merry King.
OK.
I'm going to be Hadrian's Approach. If his jumping holds out, he's got the engine. I think a good weight. Nico de Brother is a good enough jockey.
I'm going to stick with Hadrian's Approach, but I do like Merry King as well.
OK. Well, I like the other... maybe someone can pronounce it for me, the other Henderson horse that you got. OK. Well, let's hopefully go over to get the latest prices on those selections and see if there's been any market moves in that big race.
I'd just like to say very polite words there from Adam regarding Imperial Command, and not what he had to say about the horse before the show. He actually referred to this one as a washed-up footballer having a testimonial football match. So he is currently best priced 25 to 1 in the market with Bet365 amongst others. Top of the tree is that Lord Windermere, the Irish Raider, with 10 to 1 Bet Victor. Rocky Creek 10 to 1 across the board. Invictus again 10 to 1 across the board. Very sort of open market. The one I quite like there, Prince de Beauchesne, 16 to 1, top of the market, and that is with Stan James as well as Stan James and Bet Victor. Sam?
Yeah, I'm a Rocky Creek fan, actually. I think it ticks a lot of the stats boxes, and I'm really keen to see how that one's going to go today. Paul Nicholls is very, very keen on his chances, so 10 to 1, starting to get a fairer price.